Some guests show up and light the room on fire in a good way. Others do it like a wrecking ball through drywall. This isn't just about who visited, it's about who landed and who burned the place down. These are the most loved and most hated Kai Cenat's guests ever. Chris Brown did not just visit KaiCenatStream, he made it feel like a tour stop. When he walked into Mafiathon 2, the chat blew up before Kai could even speak. No fake hype, no awkward small talk. Chris locked in immediately and turned the stream into his stage. He did not ease in. He challenged Kai to a dance battle straight off the jump. Within seconds, Chris was spinning, sliding, and crumping like it was the BET Awards. Kai tried to keep up, flailing and laughing, but the difference was obvious. The room was pure electricity. Duke Dennis was hyping the corner. Chris did not clown anyone. He made it fun. Viewers spammed W guest for 10 straight minutes. There was no dead air, just energy. And just when you thought it was over, Chris started freestyling. No warning, no beat queued up. He launched into bars mid-conversation. Kai stood there stunned, trying to figure out if this was a joke or a full concert. It wasn't corny, it wasn't forced. It was just raw talent unleashed in the most random Twitch setting possible. But here's what made it special. Chris did not just perform, he taught. When he saw Kai struggling with a dance move, he broke it down step by step. Nah, you gotta feel the rhythm first, he said, grabbing Kai's shoulders and moving them to an imaginary beat. The chat was eating it up. Comments like, "Chris is the best teacher and this is better than YouTube tutorials" flooded the screen. Then came the moment that everyone clipped. Chris tried to teach Kai how to hold a note. Kai, of course, failed spectacularly. Chris shook his head, laughed, and said with perfect timing, "You need auto-tune." That line became instant meme gold. It did not come off as an insult. It felt like a Big Brother moment, just real and hilarious. The energy did not stop there. Chris grabbed a marker and started drawing on the whiteboard behind them. Not a random doodle, he was sketching out dance moves like a choreographer. "This is how you hit the slide," he explained, drawing stick figures in motion. Kai was cracking up, trying to copy the moves while Chris critiqued his form. "You look like a broken robot," Chris said, but he was smiling. The whole room was. But Chris did not just dance, rap, and roast. He sat down and got serious for a moment too. When Kai asked him to give a message to the viewers, Chris said, "Just know you're not alone in that situation." He did not try to sound deep, he just said it plainly, and it hit. Even with all the madness of the stream, that one line stuck. The best part? Chris stayed longer than anyone expected. Most celebrity guests drop in for 20 minutes and bounce. Chris was there for over an hour, genuinely enjoying himself. At one point, he started teaching Duke Dennis how to breakdance. Duke fell flat on his face and Chris doubled over laughing. "That's not how you windmill, bro." The chemistry was perfect. He did not come to promote an album. He did not act like a celebrity. He came to be part of the stream. He adapted, flowed, and elevated the energy. For days after, highlight reels of Chris dancing, coaching, and joking flooded TikTok. Fans said it felt like a concert in a living room. Then Kodak Black showed up and killed the mood in less than 5 minutes. He slumped into frame like he did not want to be there. He wore sunglasses indoors, barely moved, and did not react to anything around him. Kai threw out jokes, light questions, and even tried hyping the chat to create momentum. Nothing worked. The contrast was brutal. Here was Kai, bouncing around with his usual energy, trying to create content, and there was Kodak, sitting like a statue, checking his phone, looking anywhere but at the camera. The chat started noticing immediately. Why does he look bored? Is he even awake? This is awkward. Kai tried everything. He asked about Kodak's music, his upcoming projects, and even threw in some compliments about his recent releases. Kodak would grunt a one-word response or just nod. At one point, Kai asked, "You having fun?" And Kodak just stared at him for 5 seconds before shrugging. Kodak stayed silent until it did not. After glancing at the screen, he muttered, "Y'all soft as hell. Not playful, not ironic, just dismissive." The chat slowed down. Kai smiled, trying to save face, but his body language shifted. His usual bounce faded. Something about the room turned tight, but it got worse. When Kai tried to ask what he meant, Kodak just waved him off like he was bothering him. "Man, whatever," he said, still not looking at the camera. The disrespect was palpable. This wasn't an artist having an off day. This was someone who clearly did not want to be there and was making sure everyone knew it. Viewers began typing what everyone was thinking. "What is going on? This isn't it." People begged the mods to cut the stream, but instead of calming things down, Kodak doubled down. He sat back, visibly bored, ignored the questions, and let the awkwardness hang. The worst part was watching Kai try to salvage it. He kept throwing out conversation starters, trying to find something that would get Kodak engaged. "You got any funny stories from the studio?" Nothing. "What's the craziest thing that happened on tour?" Barely a mumble. Kai was working overtime to carry on a conversation that should have been effortless. Then, after the stream, he went live on his own platform. Instead of clearing things up, he laughed and said, "Y'all acting like little bitches. I ain't do nothing. No apology, no explanation. Just open contempt for the entire situation." What could have been a legendary crossover turned into one of the most uncomfortable streams of Kai's career. The worst part was, it wasn't even chaotic. It was quiet, cold, detached, and that silence made the collapse louder than anything else. Ray did not show up with a camera crew, a headline, or an ego. He showed up with a suitcase and a vibe. Most Kai Cenat guests tried to match the stream's wild energy. Ray did not, and somehow, that's exactly what made him unforgettable. Kai met him in Japan, completely by chance. No script, no setup, just a random guy with a friendly attitude and perfect comedic timing. The story itself was legendary. Kai was walking around Tokyo, jet-lagged and lost, when Ray approached him on the street. "You're Kai Cenat," he said in broken English, and somehow they ended up spending the whole day together. Months later, Kai brought him to the US and introduced him to the stream. Viewers did not expect much, but once Ray started talking, the room changed. He wasn't loud, he wasn't trying to be funny, he was just relaxed, and that made everything around him calmer. It was the kind of energy the stream did not know it needed. When chaos erupted around him, Ray would just smile and nod like he was watching a peaceful sunset. The contrast was magical. At one point, the two recreated a scene from Rush Hour with Ray holding a fake steering wheel, yelling, "Do what Jackie would do." The entire room cracked up. The clip blew up on TikTok almost instantly, but what made it special wasn't just the comedy, it was how natural it felt. Ray wasn't performing, he was just being himself. The cultural exchange was beautiful to watch. Ray would explain Japanese phrases to Kai, who would butcher the pronunciation so badly that Ray would burst out laughing. "No, no, no," Ray would say, still smiling, "like this." And he'd repeat it patiently until Kai got it right. The chat was loving every second, but what stuck with people wasn't the comedy, it was the contrast. While the rest of the stream leaned on high-speed antics and loud personalities, Ray made everything slower, softer, easier to watch. The chat fell in love with him. One user wrote, "Ray is like background music in human form." Another said, "Kai needs to keep this man forever." Ray brought out a different side of Kai too. Usually, Kai is the hyperactive center of attention. With Ray, he became more thoughtful, more curious. He asked genuine questions about Japanese culture, Ray's life, and his dreams. The stream felt like a real conversation instead of a performance. Even Kai noticed. In later streams, when fans asked about Ray, Kai couldn't help but smile. He did not talk about content, he spoke about friendship. "Ray's just different, man," he'd say. "He's got this energy that makes everyone around him better." You could tell it meant something real. At one point, Ray looked at the Twitch chat scrolling at hyperspeed and asked, "How do you even read that?" Kai laughed and said, "You just feel it." And Ray did. He fit in without ever trying to. The best moments came when Ray would react to American culture with genuine curiosity. He'd never seen a Pop-Tart before, so Kai made him try one on stream. Ray's face when he tasted it was priceless confusion, then delight, then more confusion. "This is breakfast food?" he asked. The chat exploded with laughter. Ray did not come to perform. He came to hang out, and in doing so, he became one of the most naturally loved guests Kai ever hosted. Then Bruce came back and showed how fast old chemistry can die. Bruce was part of Kai's original circle, one of the OGs. Back when Kai was grinding with smaller numbers, Bruce was there. They'd built content together, shared inside jokes, and created memories that felt unbreakable. So when he returned during a special IRL stream with Yorage, fans expected a nostalgic moment. What they got was quiet tension that built like a pressure cooker. From the moment he sat down, something was off. He did not smile much. He did not laugh at Kai's jokes the way he used to. The natural rhythm they once had was completely gone. Kai tossed jokes his way and got flat responses. The energy was broken. The chat noticed instantly. Viewers were asking, "Is Bruce mad? Why is this weird?" Yorage tried to fill the gaps, cracking jokes and keeping the energy up, but even he couldn't mask the awkwardness. Bruce would respond to rage but barely acknowledge Kai. It was like watching a friend group where two people were beefing but trying to pretend everything was normal. The worst part was watching Kai try to recapture what they used to have. He'd reference old streams, bring up funny moments from their past, even try to restart their old running gags. Bruce would just nod or give a weak smile. No energy, no connection, just cold politeness. Then Bruce said it. Out of nowhere, he told Kai, "You only hit me up for content." The air left the room. Kai blinked, trying to recover. He forced a smile and asked, "What are you talking about?" But the damage was done. Bruce repeated himself. No sarcasm, no punchline, just raw resentment that everyone felt. The accusation hit differently because it came from someone who knew Kai before his fame. Bruce had been there when Kai was nobody. He'd seen the grind, the struggle, the real person behind the stream. For him to say that Kai only cared about personal content. Clips hit YouTube within the hour. Fans were split. Some said Bruce was being real, calling out how fame changes people. Others said he blinded blindsided Kai, airing personal grievances on stream, but nobody said it was comfortable. The vibe was gone. Kai addressed it days later. He did not name Bruce, but he did not need to. Sometimes people change, he said quietly. Sometimes things don't feel the same anymore. But later, when asked directly about Bruce, he gave the final word, "I don't want him in my life anymore." That was it. No fight, no explosion, just a friendship quietly falling apart on camera, watched by hundreds of thousands of people in real time. Malik Ambersley did not enter like a streamer or a star. He entered like a glitch in the simulation. Fully suited as Spider-Man, eyes locked forward, he walked onto KaiCenatStream and froze. Then he twitched. Then he recited, "Thank you for the subscription," in the most robotic voice possible. The chat lost it immediately. People thought it was a prank, but it wasn't. This was NPC Miles Morales, the viral TikTok phenomenon who had turned internet performance art into something weirdly mesmerizing. He'd been doing this character for months, standing in public places, repeating the same phrases over and over like a broken video game character. What made it brilliant was the commitment. Malik did not break character, even when Kai tried to throw him off, even when the room got chaotic, even when other guests wanted to get him to react. He just kept looping, "Thank you for the gift sub," like he was running on code. The viewers were fascinated. Some people found it hilarious, others were confused, but everyone was watching. Malik had mastered the art of being simultaneously entertaining and unsettling. He'd stand perfectly still for minutes, then suddenly jerk into a new position and repeat his catchphrase. Kai tried everything to break him. He'd wave his hands in front of Malik's face, make loud noises, even try to physically move him. Nothing worked. Malik stayed in character, occasionally glitching into new positions but never breaking the illusion. It was performance art disguised as meme culture, and then everything shifted. Shamik Moore, the actual voice actor of Miles Morales, joined the stream. The moment was electric. Here was the real Miles Morales meeting the internet's version of him. Malik froze completely, his programming seeming to crash. That's when Malik finally cracked. He looked at Shamik, stepped out of character and said, "I can't do this, man. It's a pleasure to meet you." It was quiet, real, vulnerable. The whole room paused. That flipped everything. He arrived as a joke. He left as one of the most respected guests in the entire Mafiathon lineup. But not every return ends with growth. Dezz came back expecting applause. What he got was awkward silence. He had been part of Kai's early content circle, long before the subathons, before the guests, before the brand deals. So when he returned during Mafiathon 2, people expected some kind of homecoming. But Dezz did not walk into a memory. He walked into a stream that had evolved without him. He came in loudly, too loud. He interrupted other guests, talked over conversations, and tried to dominate every segment. The energy felt forced, like he was trying to recreate something that no longer existed. Jokes that might have landed in 2019 fell flat in front of a chat that had moved on. The difference was stark. Kai's stream had become polished, professional, filled with A-list guests and high-production segments. Dezz was still operating like it was 2020 when they were just friends making content in a bedroom. The mismatch was painful to watch. Comments started popping up instantly. "What is Dezz on? Why is this dude trying so hard? This ain't it." The chat was brutal but honest. They could sense the desperation, the way Dezz was clinging to relevance that had slipped away. Then came the Coffin Wars segment, a goofy prank where guests scare each other from inside fake caskets. Everyone was playing it lightly. Dezz turned it into something else. He stood over the coffin and yelled, "Get in, bro, let's run it." He wasn't joking. He wanted to fight. The fun stopped. Kai stepped in, trying to pivot, but Dezz wouldn't drop it. Later, Dezz tried to flex his old relationship with Kai. He brought up past streams, referencing inside jokes that no one else in the room understood. It felt like watching someone try to prove they still mattered. Even Duke Dennis looked bored. The VOD comments told the full story. Why did Dezz kill the vibe? Dezz just ain't built for this new format. He wasn't hated for what he said. He was hated for refusing to accept that the stream had outgrown him. Dezz did not come back. Kai did not bring him up again. That silence spoke louder than anything Dezz tried to say. Kevin Hart did not enter KaiCenatStream like a celebrity. He entered like a roast session waiting to happen. Within 30 seconds of walking into Mafiathon 2, he pointed at Kai's chair and said, "This is the chair you got rich off of," while shaking it like it was a busted toy. The entire room cracked up. Kai tried to defend himself, but Kevin had already moved on to clowning his outfit. "What is this?" Kevin said, tugging at Kai's hoodie. "Are you wearing a whole sleeping bag?" The delivery was perfect. Not mean-spirited, just brutally honest in the way only Kevin Hart could be. It wasn't just funny, it was surgical. Kevin controlled the rhythm of the room like he'd been streaming for years. Even when Kai asked, "Have you ever done Twitch before?" Kevin fired back with, "Nah, but I'm better than you at it already." That clip flooded TikTok in hours. Not because it was outrageous, because it was true. He really was running the stream. The roasting did not stop. Kevin looked around the room and started picking apart everything. The decorations, the setup, even the other guests. "Y'all really got a whole production going and still can't figure out lighting," he said, squinting at the camera. "I can can barely see myself." He did not just joke around, he performed. At one point, the chat jokingly spammed L guest, and Kevin stared straight into the camera and said, "Don't you ever L guest me again. I'm sensitive." The delivery was flawless. Kai had to walk off screen to catch his breath, but Kevin did not treat it like a quick cameo. He stayed, he got involved. He came back later with Drusky and turned the stream into a full-on improv session. Kevin grabbed a Nerf gun, called himself Captain Twitch, and staged a fake SWAT mission inside the house. "Clear the hallway," he yelled, charging into the next room while Drusky played backup. It wasn't scripted, it wasn't polished, but it worked. The physicality was perfect. Kevin's short stature made everything funnier as he tried to look tough with a foam weapon. Drusky played the perfect straight man, taking the mission seriously while Kevin descended into chaos. Viewers called it one of the best guest episodes Kai ever hosted, not just because Kevin was funny, but because he understood the format. He did not come to ride the hype, he became part of it. Then Chrisean, Rock, and Blueface showed up and destroyed all of it. At first, it looked like they were just there to vibe, but something was off. Blueface walked in like he was too cool for the room, sunglasses on, barely saying a word. Chrisean came in loud, not funny loud, aggressive loud. She pointed at Kai during a jail-themed segment and said, "You're weird," and it wasn't playful, it was personal. The energy was wrong immediately. While other guests would adapt to the stream's vibe, these two seemed to be fighting against it. Blueface looked bored, checking his phone, giving one-word answers to Kai's questions. Chrisean was the opposite, too intense, too confrontational, like she was looking for a fight. Kai tried to keep things light by jumping into a rap challenge with Blueface, but his verses were slow and self-obsessed. The room's energy started to wobble. Then Chrisean picked up a chair and launched it into the wall. It hit with a thud. Everyone froze. Security did not move. Kai turned slowly to the hole in the wall, blinking like he wasn't sure it had really happened. The vibe was dead. Blueface laughed. That was it. No apology, no concern. Just awkward chuckles like it was all part of the act. The disrespect was incredible. Your girlfriend just destroyed property on someone else's stream and you're laughing? Kai never called them out by name, but during a later stream, he said, "The vibe just wasn't for me," and thanked the mods for keeping things under control. That was all he needed to say, because sometimes the worst stream moments don't come from shouting or controversy. They come from guests who walk in and break something that can't be put back together. JohnCena's entrance on KaiCenatStream did not feel real. At first, people thought it was a prank, maybe a lookalike, maybe a bit. Then Kai screamed, "JohnCena in the building," and the camera turned, and there he was. No fanfare, no announcement, just one of the most recognizable faces in the world walking into Twitch's most chaotic stream like it was nothing. Phantom and Chris next door did not miss a beat. They leaned into the Mimi and pretended they couldn't see him. Where'd he go? Is he even here? Cena smiled and played along, walking in circles like a ghost while the chat absolutely exploded. The moment felt scripted, but it wasn't. It just worked. Then everything flipped. The chaos quieted and Cena started talking, not in a guest interview way, in a real way. Sitting across from Kai and his crew, he looked around the room and said, "Be useful to people, be grateful, that's happiness." It was the kind of sentence that lands differently when it comes from someone who's seen it all. Kai tried to laugh, tried to pivot into a new bit, but Cena wasn't done. He continued, "We need to do a better job of building safe spaces to allow people to be vulnerable." The chat slowed down. Viewers stopped spamming. It was the rare moment where Twitch chat listened. Chris next door made a joke about being bald, probably trying to break the tension. Cena looked him dead in the eye and said, "You're not alone." No smirk, no wink. Just a solid, sincere moment in a room that's usually built for yelling and chaos. Then, just like that, the mood shifted again. Cena picked up an inflatable hammer and challenged Kai to a fake wrestling match. They went from deep talk to full-blown WWE mode in less than a minute. Kai got body slammed with a foam prop. Phantom was doing commentary from the couch. The stream was alive again. That's what made Cena's appearance legendary. He adapted to the moment. He wasn't there for PR. He wasn't pushing a brand. He wasn't just being cool. He was present. And when he left, he did not feel like a celebrity who had dropped by. He felt like someone who had actually been there. Kai summed it up best when he said later on stream, "Cena is different. He really sat down and talked. Not many guests can give you viral comedy, authentic advice, and a fake suplex in one session. Cena did all of it." Then came the final act. The only person who could close it all was IShowSpeed. There was no calm, no opening build-up. Speed entered the kitchen like a natural disaster. It was supposed to be a cooking stream. Within 5 minutes, there was flour on the ceiling, raw eggs in the microwave, and a smell in the air that Kai said smelled like burnt chaos. Speed grabbed raw chicken with his bare hands and threw it into a pan with no oil, no seasoning, and no plan. He yelled, "I got this," while holding a half-melted spatula. Kai backed away like he was watching a bomb tick down. Then came the moment that broke the stream. Speed pulled the chicken out of the oven, looked at it, and screamed, "Bro, it's still pink!" Kai ran over, nearly dropped to the floor, and shouted, "Turn it off! Turn it off!" Speed picked up the half-cooked meat with his fingers, stared into the camera, and said, "I made this with love." The chat was gone, the internet broke, and it did not stop there. Speed called a fake emergency hotline on speaker, yelling, "Yes, I ate raw chicken, am I gonna die?" Kai was in tears, literally crawling on the floor while screaming for someone to cut the stream before we go viral for the wrong reason. But that's the thing, they did go viral, and it wasn't the wrong reason.